Good afternoon and welcome to another conversation with Mose. And as always, I pray life is treating you well wherever you are in the world and that you're one day closer to your dreams and prayers coming true. And of course, my podcast wouldn't be a podcast without a poem. So today won't be any different. And this poem is written by yours truly and it's taken from my book, My Life in the Sunshine, available where books are sold. And this poem is called Your Friends Hate You. They, your friends, wonder about you and me. Our smiles, our laughter, the joy we bring to one another. How could we be so happy together? Encouraging each other, praying together, crying together. They have no idea what makes our world go round. We both have shared our pain, but we knew that love would see us through. Time and patience on our side. Respect and honesty have become our best friends. This anointed relationship. Your friends hate you because you're so happy, because you're not alone anymore. You have someone new in your life who does truly love you. And if I were them, I would hate you too. Just kidding, boo. You know I loves me some you. Yeah, I was actually kind of torn about what poem I wanted to do today, and I kind of wanted to keep it in line with the subject matter for today. And it's been a while since I've done a podcast. Some days I just feel like I'm losing my mojo because I get on and, I just trying to make it perfect all the time. And it's something I want to get away from, trying to make things perfect. And I'm sure you out there can understand that. I think some of us are just obsessive compulsives and everything has to be perfect. But anyway, my subject for today is, do people still have best friends anymore? Or do people have best friends anymore? And what I mean by that, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I wonder, do people even refer to people as best friends? Do they actually say, I remember back in the day when people said ace, boom, coon, and road dog, partner. But I want to know, do people really do share special secrets and special information to their best friends? And with social media and everybody's business, quote unquote, being online, I just asked the question because I wonder, is anything sacred anymore? We focus on our relationships, romantic relationships. And as I've said before in other podcasts, I think people don't treat friendships with the same sacredness, with the same level of respect. And I guess it takes experience because honestly, I know I didn't. I think I called everybody my friend. If you seem cool, you were my friend. And I also use the term best friend. Pretty much I think we all did our childhood, teenage years. And they probably were for that time. They were genuinely your best friend. But honestly, I can say there was a lot of things I didn't share with my best friends back then. Even when I was in high school and when I was young, some things I did keep to myself. And I didn't feel like I could share those things with my best friends at the time, especially knowing that I was gay and it was something that I was haunted by during my early years. And I wasn't sure what I was, and I didn't want to share that with anybody. But in hindsight, I wish I had had a best friend that I trusted, that I could talk to about things that were going on with me. Because I believe that you really do need a friend, even earlier in your life, that you feel like you can be yourself. And for me, I can look back at my childhood and see I was really trying to fit in. So I believe that I adapted myself to trying to make friends. And most of my friends really didn't know me. I kind of went along to get along. I wasn't a follower per se, but I didn't always share what I liked. For example, and I'm going somewhere with this in terms of just building up what I mean as far as friendships are concerned. But I really didn't think people would like what I liked. So the music I liked Prince. and everything Prince, and everybody was pretty much into hip hop. I liked hip hop, but I didn't like hip hop like that. I liked, Sheila E. and Vanity Six and The Time, and I loved Confunction and Ohio Players, and I was really into what I was into. And a lot of my friends, because my father was a DJ, I had my own interests. I even liked rock, pop. I was a big MTV watcher in the 80s and 90s, before Michael Jackson and Janet and Whitney, made it more quote unquote black per se, which is sad to say, which is a whole nother conversation. But anyway, I really didn't feel like I had the kind of friends that I don't know for sure that I could actually be myself completely. So I think I always felt guarded when it came to my interests, the things that I liked. I wasn't really into sports, and I was very, very shy when it came to girls, and that didn't come till later. I really didn't have the confidence. So I pretty much stayed in my room and listened to music. So my friendships they were good for the time. But as you get older, you start wanting different types of friendships. You want different people in your life, but you learn that from personal experience. And for me, I had to learn the hard way, because during my teenage years and when I moved to Atlanta, when I was becoming a young man, I thought everybody was who they said they were. So in my mind, if you said you were cool, if you said you didn't do drugs, if you said you weren't a thief, or I pretty much took it at face value. I never, back then you couldn't Google people. You couldn't investigate people before you became their friend. So I wasn't really one of those people that I pretty much believed you. I mean, and my Aunt Pam used to always kind of question me about people that I would hang around. And I can see now why she would do that, because I figured I was green when it came to people. I was not a good judge of character, not at work, not professionally or personally. But I learned from my experiences. But I always had good acquaintances around. I mean, I say that now. I mean, I called them friends back then. But fast forwarding to best friends. Now, I have a best friend. I have a best friend in my partner. I have a best friend in Ohio. And I say that because they know everything about me. I think if you have a best friend at this point in your life, they should know everything about you. I mean, everything. I mean, and what I mean by that is, like, I watch a lot of movies. I watch a lot of TV. And you're always watching a show where you didn't know that person was going to commit suicide. You didn't know that person was on drugs. You didn't know that person was feeling that kind of way. I think somebody needs to know how you feel. When you're happy, when you're sad, when you're good, when you're bad. I think they should know your personality, because it could be important later. Just like if you're going out on a date with somebody that you've never met, you should tell your best friend where you're going. You should have an escape route if you want to escape the date, quote unquote, if people still do that. And people should know where you are, especially if you're a single person, male or female. I think people should know where you are, who you're with, especially if you're going somewhere that you've never been before on a date, especially nowadays with social media and the internet, with these apps. You shouldn't be going anywhere to meet anybody and somebody not know. And even though I live out of town, I like my friends to know. I started taking medication not that long ago, and I wanted my friends to know what I was taking, because if anything happens to me, I want somebody to know. It's like, oh, Mo said, And I think when it comes to I know, to calling someone your best friend, you should be able to be yourself. And I would say without judgment, but that's really weird. I mean, everybody's going to judge you in some form or fashion, whether it's constructive or negative. But I'd like to believe that if you have a true best friend, they're going to be constructive, and they're going to give you advice and wisdom based on what they know about you and that friendship. Because for me, if I go to my best friend about something, especially if it's something I don't want to talk about or something that's hard to talk about, I want her honest opinion, but she's giving me advice based on my personality. So, and I'm doing the same thing for her. For example, she's single, And she was giving me some advice as a black man about something I've been experiencing. And I asked her, would you tell your husband the same thing? Would you give your husband this advice? And she said, yes, she would. And again, every circumstance is different, but it's one of those situations where, and then also when she's giving me advice, I always ask for a spiritual answer and a human answer. And what I mean by that is like, it's what would you do spiritually and what would you do as a human being? And usually the answers are different because, you're going to have a spiritual answer, and I trust her opinion. Now, we have different religious practices, but we both believe in God. We're both faithful in that way. And I know she doesn't agree with everything I do, but we have a great love and fondness and respect for one another that we really can. I do respect her opinion, and she's been a big supporter of everything I do. And what I love about our friendship is that she knows the origin of the decisions that I make. I used to have dreadlocks years ago. It's been over 10 years now, and I remember when I made the decision to cut them and how supportive she was. She was shocked that I was going to cut my hair, but she was like, oh, okay. And every decision I've made, I've talked to her about it. When I moved to Oklahoma, when I was ready to leave Georgia, when I first started dating my partner, long distance, I told her about it. We talked. And the one thing I will say, she's a risk taker like I am. She doesn't believe in self-pity. And, it's like it's better to find out, take a chance and see, take a risk. She's definitely a risk taker. And I think that's the other thing. It depends on what kind of friends you want to have in your life. Do you want people that are just going to wallow in self-pity with you? Just kind of sign off on everything that you do, even if it's wrong? If you're trying to better your life, if you're trying to lose weight, get off drugs, stop drinking, do you want to be around people that aren't helping you with that? And I wish somebody had told me, well, actually they were trying to tell me, I just wasn't listening back then, because you really do have to take stock of your friendships as early as in your life as possible. You're not going to get it right every time, but again, if you choose to call somebody your best friend, really, take stock in saying that everybody shouldn't have the pleasure of being your best friend. And of course, when you're dating someone or when you get married, of course you want everybody to like your best friend. I mean, who doesn't want, And sometimes you may have a situation where people don't jive together. But I'm the kind of person that I get along with everybody. I mean, I don't really force friendships on people. I'm respectable. Even if I don't like you, I'm going to still be respectful. So I'd like to think that my best friends are that way. You wouldn't know unless you did something truly offensive. I don't think you would even realize that this person wasn't a fan of yours. But I don't use that word best friend lightly anymore. I have a lot of great acquaintances. I really do. And again, and I also think your mate, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend should be your best friend as well on some level. Because I also feel like there are certain things let me put it this way. I know there are some things that we share with our best friends that we don't share with our partners, but they should know at least 95% of what your best friend knows. Your partner should know just as much as your best friend. Because I feel like there's nothing worse than finding out certain things that, your partner didn't know or your best friend knows it. Of course, like I said, there are certain things you're going to keep amongst yourselves, but I think 95% of anything about you, both people should know, about your, just they should know. If you're feeling suicidal, your partner shouldn't be the only person, or your best friend shouldn't be the only person that knows that. Your partner should know it. If you're feeling depressed or sad or angry or whatever, I think it's important that you're honest with your friends. And that's the other thing. If you're angry, if you're pissed, or if you're frustrated, can you tell your friends that honestly? If you're cheating on your spouse, if you're, you want somebody to step in and really be honest with you. Sometimes painfully honest. Because that's one thing about my partner. He sometimes is painfully honest with me. And to be honest, I was attracted to that, but I was also a little frustrated with it because I wasn't used to somebody being so honest with me about things that I didn't notice about myself. So I just simply didn't notice it. And it's interesting because you don't think about those things until somebody points it out, like habits and things that I was doing that I was unaware of that I was doing. But I can appreciate that now, his being honest with me. And again, it's a growing pain. And to be honest with you, he's helped me to be honest with myself more and also to be honest with people around me because I do keep things in. I'm notorious for letting things pile up in my mind and frustrate me, and I'm not telling people what's really bothering me. And I spent my whole life doing that. I just really kept stuff in, and I'm still guilty of it. I'm just like always keeping things in and not letting people in. So I'm getting better at releasing that, and my friends actually, like I said, know who I am and my fears, which is another thing. I would never share my fears and anxiety with people because I was ashamed. It's like, oh, I'm a man. I can't tell people that. But I do. I do now. And again, getting back to what I said before, who can you call your best friend? Who do you call your ace boon coon? Because to be honest with you, I've been hurt more by friendships than I have any romantic relationship I was in. I've had more friends hurt me unexpectedly. I mean, with relationships, you go in knowing there's a possibility that you could get hurt. But with friendships, you really don't do that. You don't think about it. It's like, this person would never hurt me. Just like with social media now. I have issues with social media because if I'm out with my friends, I need to believe that they're not going to post anything about me. And that's going to be, embarrassing to me later. I'd like to believe that they would never hurt me or, put something online that's going to follow me later. They're going to have my back. And that's the one thing I love about back in the day in the 80s and 90s. You just didn't you didn't blast people online. You go to a party now, somebody posting you drunk or high or, doing something inappropriate. And you really didn't want the world to know that. And I would hope that my best friend would make sure that wouldn't happen. And the same thing reciprocated, even by myself. So again, I take the word friendship to a whole nother level, and it is sacred to me. And I don't call everybody my friend. But I do have best friends. I do. I have best old friends and I have best new friends. And then I have the people that I talk to regularly, and again, like I said, my partner has become my best friend. We have our differences. We don't agree on everything, but I do like confiding in him about things when it comes to finances, which was another issue I had. I did not, and I still don't like talking about money. I really don't. It's one of those things, even with my best friend, I don't like talking about money. I'm not the best money manager, but I do like to handle my business. I do like to handle my business. I like paying my bills on time and being able to do what I want. But I'm very prideful when it comes to money. Borrowing money, it's just something that, again, it's funny. I'm just the opposite when it comes to people borrowing money from me. I'm not as funny about it. But when it comes to borrowing money from people, I'm very funny. But as I said before, I've talked to my best friends, quote unquote, about my financial challenges. And I love getting advice about money. It's the one thing I can say, don't let your ignorance keep you poor or keep you from making your hustle or whatever. Because there's nothing worse than not asking. There's a lot of ways to make money. There's a lot of things that are out there. For example, I remember working at this job that shall remain nameless. And I remember leaving this job and my partner was saying, because I had been there so long, to make sure that all the money that I was owed, to check every stone, turn over everything, 401k and pension, all of that. Make sure check everything to make sure you're not leaving any money behind. And honestly, that's the best advice I think anybody's ever given me. Nobody's ever given me that advice. In hindsight, I'm looking back at jobs. I'm thinking I could have left money at several jobs and I was unaware because they're not going to volunteer that information. So that's why he's my best friend. And I was able to walk away with some money. And I suggest that to any of you, if you're working at a company for more than 5 years and you're going to quit, check everything. Check every stone, turn over everything to find out what you got coming to you. And a friend is going to tell you, and again, it's not all about money. It's about encouraging you. Good job. Congratulations. Being supportive. And also, let me clear up the fact that even with your best friends, you're not going to, I would never say you're never going to get mad with them. You're never going to get frustrated with them. It's different though, I think, because you have a rapport, and that's a relationship you want to salvage. You want to keep. And especially if you know the intent was they meant well. So if somebody does something or if they do something that bothers you, you know the intent behind it. And we have to give people grace. We do. And forgive people. There are people that I have forgiven over time, but I don't want to be friends with them anymore. I have no ill will toward anybody. I just don't want to be your friend. We can be acquaintances, distance, but some friendships have run its course. And again, I think it's important that, I guess my whole point in this podcast is that we have to assess our lives. And, again, everybody's going through mental challenges, physical challenges, any number of things. And then we need somebody we can talk to and truly be ourselves. And also not be afraid to cry, cuss, scream, holler, pray, whatever works. And I always tell my friends, if you need to call me, call me. But I always say, let me know that you need to talk. Because I'm going to assume it's just a regular conversation you want to have. If it's something like 911, I need to talk to you, by all means say that. If you calling me at 3 o'clock in the morning, well, most of my friends don't call me at 3 o'clock in the morning. So if you call me, I'm pretty much sure that it's something serious. But people that aren't as close to me, I always say, my brother, sister, my family members, if you really need to talk, just say that. Just say, hey, I really need to talk to you about something that's really important, because I do it. My brother and sister, I will text them specifically. I'm going through something and I need to talk to you. Call me when you get a minute. Now, if it's something like, I don't like to worry anybody, but if it's something I really need to talk about, I'm going to specifically say, I need to talk to you. So my friends know I'm going to be transparent. So if you can't be that with your quote unquote best friend, then they're not your friend. Because like I said, there's nothing worse than having somebody stab you in the back. I've had that happen. People that have talked about me, people that have lied to my face, stolen ideas from me. And to this day, that's why I'm so funny about calling people my friend. I have online friends, I have offline acquaintances, but I have a very small circle. So again, do people call people best friends, and do people still have best friends? And what does that look like? What does a best friend actually look like to you? Is it, like I said, somebody that knows everything about you, even the bad stuff, even the things that you're ashamed to say in the light, quote unquote? Is it somebody you can get an honest opinion from, or somebody that's just kind of a yes man or a yes woman, just agreeing with everything that you say? And I don't like people like that either. I've never liked people that they never want to disagree with you. They never want to combat you. They just want to kind of, agree with everything you say. And then I don't like the hangers on, people that's just hanging on to you, waiting for your big opportunity so they can ride with you. I don't like those people either, because I've never treated people like that. Never. I'm genuinely happy for my friends when they're making big strides and big decisions. I have friends in just about every walk of life, and some are successful, some are not, but I'm proud of all of them. Nice homes, nice cars, nice lives, great vacations, and even the ones that are doing, just okay. I say the same thing. I'm proud of you. Congratulations. And I think, again, the whole point of this podcast, again, is just reevaluating your friendships. Because if I'm having issues in my relationship, I want to be able to go to my best friend and get their advice. And that's the other thing. I like talking to people who have been married before, who've lived with people before, people who have children. I want to get advice from people that have experience with what I'm talking about as a 55-year-old man going on 55. And I don't like talking to people that don't have experience with what I'm dealing with. I don't have an issue with it. I just would rather at this point in my life have more solutions. And I don't need people to point out my problems. Like with my best friend and even my partner, I like getting ideas from them, suggestions, because I don't know everything. I really don't. I know what I don't like, but if they're better at something than me, then I'd rather know and try it than keep doing what I'm doing. But again, I just kind of wanted to reiterate that if you do have a best friend or somebody you're close to, just keep them close. You know, I think we're living in a world now where you need to keep your close friends close. And don't take them for granted. You know, tell them, remind them, I appreciate you. You know, I appreciate what you do, just being in my corner. And I'm not talking about the friends you got to talk to every single day. I'm talking about people that you really genuinely have a rapport and a relationship with. So I hope you enjoyed that part of the podcast. But of course, again, my podcast wouldn't be a podcast if I didn't have other news that I wanted to share. In October, I am having a Black Experience exhibit in Oklahoma, and I've started a GoFundMe page for those that want to support me. You can support anonymously, or you can actually put your name. And I believe the lowest amount is $5, but I really would like for you guys to help me on this journey. Because again, if I could do it without all the other things I have going on, then I would do it myself. But I am asking for help and your support if you like what I do and my platform. And I'm talking about the podcast. I'm talking about my All Things Moetic store, my photography, my poetry, my books. If you really like what I'm doing, then I appreciate any support you can offer me. And if you want the link, just reach out to me on social media and I'll send you the link to my GoFundMe page. And it's for my Black Experience exhibit in October. And I'll have more details as time goes on, and I'll definitely be mentioning it in other and future podcasts. And also, my store, All Things Moetic, is always there, where you can get my poetry books directly from me, my photography, All Things Mo's at my store, All Things Moetic. It's my Etsy store for those that aren't familiar. And I'll definitely give you a good deal. And if you send friends and recommend, I'll give you special discounts. Just reach out to me and let me know. And again, I want to thank you for listening and take the time to say thank you for your support, for the encouraging words, for the just being positive, you know, and even the constructive stuff I've heard from people. I appreciate you. And just being yourselves with me, because I like to be myself with you. And as always, I pray life is treating you well wherever you are in the world. Thank you for listening.